What's up, lads, and welcome back to Gladiatorstribe. And we got some really good feedback on our latest backhand tutorial and many requests to do the same thing on the forehand. So today, guess what? We're gonna be doing a forehand tutorial with this beautiful and super professional racket. Don't mind it, it's just that my rackets are being strong. Let's get it on. And just like with the backhand, it's not gonna be tips on how to hit a forehand from zero up, how to hold your racket and whatever. No, it's gonna be pro tips on how to improve your forehand and get it to like pro level. And because my forehand is my less natural shot compared to my backhand, I've been struggling a lot to make it be somewhat decent, so I have quite a few tips for you. So now let's get started. And tip number one, just like with the backhand, is to hit the ball in front of you. It doesn't really matter, you know, how high up or low down you're hitting, but the most important thing is to hit it consistently in front of yourself. And I just can't stress this enough, and you have no idea just how important it is to always hit the ball in front of you, because like I feel like about 90% of the mistakes that most players make come from the wrong contact point. They either hit the ball way too far or way too close, or even sometimes let the ball sort of go inside and end up hitting it behind their body. And once you're hitting the ball in the wrong spot, the only option you have is to correct it with either your wrist, your elbow, your shoulder, and you start doing some weird things. And if you're hitting the ball in the wrong spot, there's just no way of having a stable and consistent forehand. In fact, Marat Safins and my ex-coach Alexander Volkov used to always say that his dream in tennis is to be able to always hit the ball in front of him. And if he could do that, I'm sure that he'd get even further up in the ranking than 14 in the world. And yeah, so basically tip number one is to always focus on hitting the ball in front of you, not too far, not too close, not letting it sort of like inside, and yeah, just something like this. This is pretty much the perfect spot where to hit the ball. Moving on to tip number two. And this could actually be the most important tip, but it's kind of closely related to tip number one. But anyways, it is to move your goddamn legs. And guys, if only you knew how important it is to move your legs when you're hitting a forehand. Because okay, you can be doing your best to hit a clean forehand and hit the ball in front of you every time, but if you get to the ball wrong in the first place, there's only so much you can do with the rest of the parts of your body to kind of correct for this. So yes, focus a lot on moving your legs. And the thing with this tip is that everyone thinks that, yeah, okay, move your legs, whatever, I'm already moving my legs intensely enough. But thing is, you're not. And when the people come to their training and start working on their forehand, they focus solely on the upper body and what's going on up here. But guys, the real things are happening down below the waistline. So yes, focus on moving your legs as much as you can and getting to the ball perfectly. So moving on to tip number three, but it should really be called tip number 2.1, but hey, tip number three it is. And it is to stay low to the ground. So yes, not only do I want you to be moving your legs like a maniac, I also want you to be low to the ground while you're doing it, especially when you're taking the shot. And if you think that, hey, I'm already being low to the ground, just like with moving your legs, you're not, because I'm not seeing you in the top 300 in the world. Because that's literally like the first thing that you notice comparing a pro player to an amateur player, and it is just how much lower the pros are to the ground. That gives you stability and confidence when taking a shot. And another thing that gives you confidence when taking the shot is tip number four. And it is to choose the right stand for the right shot. And there's really only two types of stands. There's closed and open stand. The closed stand is the one we're all used to and kind of know, and then the open stand is kind of more advanced. There's also like half open, half closed, but it's pretty much just variations of both. Long story short is to use the closed stand whenever you're moving forward with the ball. So when you're doing an approach and where you have kind of like a short ball that you can kind of be more aggressive on, and use the open stand when you're moving along the baseline. So when you're reaching out for a ball or when you're just doing a normal rally. So if you're moving across the baseline, it's open stand. If you're moving perpendicular to the baseline, it's closed stand. But these are honestly very straightforward tips, because if you're moving along the baseline, if you use the closed stand, you're going to be blocking your shot kind of with your leg, and it's not really natural. And if you're going to be doing an open stand when moving forward, it's just freaking ridiculous. So yeah, let's move on to tip number five. And this one is to follow through, but not with your arm, but rather with your entire body. No matter if you're using an open stand or a closed stand, your entire body has to be moving forward on every shot you take. And more specifically, in the direction of the shot. So if you're going cross court, your body is moving cross court. If you're going down the line, your body is going down the line. So not to the side and not falling backwards, but forward in the direction of the shot. And you might ask, but okay, how the hell am I supposed to be moving forward every time I hit a shot? Well, this is when we have to go back to tip number 2, and it is you have to move your legs properly. Because if you don't, you're not gonna get to the ball with enough space to be able to go forward, and that's where we start to do all these weird kind of motions. So yeah, get to the ball properly and move together with it. So on your next practice, try to exaggerate that movement of the body forward into the court when you try to go for your next winner. And we are going to be going for tip number 6. This one is going to be more of a tactical one, and it's to use the right forehand for the right scenario. So if you're forced to the side where you have to almost reach for the forehand, don't play flat, don't play aggressive, don't play fast, go for a spinny and deep shot. So this way you have enough time to recover and be ready for the next one. Now, if you have the chance to go inside the court and be more aggressive, of course, this is where I want you to increase the speed and play flatter to take away time from your opponent and maybe have the chance to go to the net and finish the point with a volley. Because, well, that's just what makes sense. But on the scenario where there's literally nothing that you can do to hurt your opponent back or even defend properly, don't try to go for a risky passing shot or like a very sexy down the line winner. Rather, try to just put the ball back inside the court just somehow to give your opponent the chance to make an unforced error, because it's always better to give them a chance to make an unforced error than to risk it and do the unforced error yourself. Now, thinking of the unforced errors, that brings me on to tip number 7. This one is literally going to be a tip for your next practice that you can actually work on when you're going to be working on your forehand. And it is to purposely miss out. So whenever you miss a ball out when you're hitting a forehand, it's a way better mistake than missing it to the net, because, you know, when you miss the ball out, it's kind of like a but when you miss the ball to the net, it's kind of like a feeling. So not only is it a mentally better mistake, it also allows you to relax and be more confident with your forehand, because if the ball is going out like that, it's way better than if you miss like that. So yes, miss out and not to the net. So there you go, guys. These are my 7 tips to improve your forehand to a pro level. Let me know if there's any other tutorial that you'd like me to cover. Also, let me know what you thought about this tutorial down in the comments below. I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.